How's it going, guys? JP back at you once again, bringing you guys another video. This time we're going to be talking The X-Files, which is a series that ran from 1993 up into the early 2000s. It also had 9 seasons and 2 films. It's also a series that I'm completely unfamiliar with. I do remember it airing on TV. I'm sure I caught an episode here and there. My uncle was actually a big fan of the show, so I do remember certain things about it, but the overall show in general, I'm very unfamiliar with. And I figured I owned 4 of the seasons on DVD, the first 4 seasons. Got them really cheap, like $10 a piece. They were still sealed. I figured it is time to crack these babies open and start going through the series, because as we all know, Fox has recently announced that they have greenlit a, I guess, 10th season or a continuation of the series with the original actors, original characters, and kind of continuing on that storyline. I thought that was fantastic. I love that they're doing this stuff nowadays, so I figured I have to watch these seasons in order to check out the new show when it eventually airs. I'm sure we're a while away from now from it airing, so I got a lot of time, but you know, there is 9 seasons, so I better get started. And my idea behind this video is to briefly talk about my journey through the series. There's 4 episodes on each disc, so I figure I will cover 4 episodes in each video. These are going to be very brief videos. This one will be a little longer because it's kind of my intro video where I'm explaining everything. But for the most part, I want to keep them very short, very compact, just brief thoughts on the series as we go along. As always, when you talk about individual episodes, there will be spoilers, so I'm sure that there will be some kind of spoilers as I move along through the series. So be aware, if you haven't seen the show, to maybe not check out these videos. I guess I'll start with my overall opinions on the show, my first impressions. I watched the first 4 episodes, and that's kind of all I seen. And right away, I gotta say that the theme song is just so eerie. The intro, the opening, I absolutely love it. There's just something about it. It sucks you in. The mystery, the wonder, the eeriness, the creepiness, it's all there in the intro, and the theme song really just kind of entices you and pulls you in right away. I also say that the show is a little dated. It you know, first aired in 1993, and that is kind of right in that era where technology is, you know, just kind of starting up in the way that we know it nowadays. And so it kind of has that dated feel, but I'm okay with that because I like that feeling. I like that early 90s, mid 90s you know, style. It's very kind of hard to explain. If you want to explain the 80s or the 70s, sometimes it's a lot easier to put into words what was so unique or interesting about that. But the 90s, I've always kind of felt it was a hard decade to kind of describe. But I do like it. Slightly dated, but almost in a good way. I also want to say that 44-minute episodes. I found this kind of surprising because most TV series and shows from that era were, you know, the typical half-hour episodes. So I do feel like they are a little drawn out at times. Since it's a TV show, you can definitely tell when a commercial is about to hit. Things like that. It doesn't bug me too much. But I want to say that I do really, really like what I'm seeing so far, but I'm not completely engaged. Well, I am engaged. I'm not completely amazed by the show so far. I mean, I'm only 4 episodes in, but I'm not completely blown away or anything like that. I think it's very solid. It's kind of a steady type of show right now. It doesn't feel like there's a bunch of highs and lows. Just in the first 4 episodes, it feels like a very steady, interesting show. A little long, but I'm still with it. I'm still there. I'm still being entertained. So that's kind of my first impressions. Now, the first episode is, of course, titled Pilot. It's the pilot. And this one kind of introduces us to the characters. It starts going right away. And we have Mulder and Scully, who are FBI agents, Scully is sort of the skeptical one, and Mulder is sort of the believer. So you have this interesting dynamic where you have sort of the voice of reason and the other character who is just a pure believer. And the audience is let in on what's going on, so we kind of have a different point of view than the characters. We know what's really going on. We see a little bit more than the characters do, so we know that, you know, what's true and what's not. So sometimes you can maybe make the skeptic to seem sort of an asshole, since we know what's true and what's not, but they do a very good job of making her, you know, the voice of reason, and kind of the she's likable because she doesn't know any better, but she's doing what the most logical person would say and do, and because she is doing that, you kind of need that, or else it would just it wouldn't come off right. It'd be a different show if it was just 100% both characters was fully in belief of the extraterrestrials and all of the unexplained phenomenon going on. So that's kind of what they're doing. These X-Files are cases that are unexplained, and they have to go and kind of solve each case, and Scully is sort of she's doing these field reports on the investigation. Very interesting. The first episode does a great job setting up those characters, because it does a fantastic job of just showing you who these characters are and what they're going to be like for the rest of the journey. At least that's what it feels like. I haven't seen the rest of the show, of course. And of course, we're dealing with aliens and extraterrestrials, unidentified flying objects, things like that. Really interesting. I've always been very fascinated in that. Very sci-fi, but the first episode we get a heavy dose of the extraterrestrials and you know, the UFOs and stuff like that. So I was really into it. I thought it was a great setup to the show. I really enjoyed the first episode. Then the second episode, we kind of still follow that another file. This episode was titled Deep Throat. I didn't think it was as good as the first episode, but granted, it is, you know, the second episode. It's not the one that's supposed to blow you away. Still kind of following that investigation of, you know, aliens and things like that. We get a lot of, you know, shady government activity going on. We also get a cool character of Seth Green. I don't know exactly who he plays, but you know, looks totally 90s. Really cool stuff there. Then we have the third episode, which is Squeeze. And this is the first of what I understand is like the Monster of the Week episodes. From how I've always heard people talk about the X-Files, there is the main story arc, which is solving the bigger picture, the grand scheme, what's really going on with the extraterrestrials and the government and things like that. And then there is the Monster of the Week episodes, which are just usually surrounded around, you know, some sort of monster or creature or killer or some sort of villain. And those ones I hear are a lot of fun because it's just, you know, open and shut cases from the beginning of the episode to the end of the episode, where they're trying to figure out some sort of mystery. They're trying to solve some sort of crime. And I actually really liked this episode. I thought it was a lot of fun. There's a killer who kills people every 30 years, 5 people every 30 years. Sounds awesome. Like, I love those type of concepts and things like that, and as they investigate it, it's a lot of fun. That was definitely a solid episode. And then the fourth episode on that, the first disc is Conduit, and this episode is more surrounded with Mulder, who is kind of thinking back to a situation that happened to him when he was younger, because this new case kind of reminds him and brings back those memories, kind of digs up those skeletons of his sister who had disappeared. This was also a decent episode. You kind of get to know a little bit more about Mulder, which is nice, and it kind of is a really character development episode where you're learning more about his history and maybe why he is so obsessed with finding the truth, because you know the truth is out there, and I love that. I want to believe, and the truth is out there. I mean, the X-Files just has this eerie tone throughout the whole series, at least in the first 4 episodes. Really good stuff there. So I'm not going to get into the episodes too much because I don't want them to be like full-on reviews. I just want these videos to be very quick, just what I liked, what I didn't like, and we'll move on to the next disc. So let me know if you guys enjoy this concept. This one is going to be a little bit longer, but the next one should be, you know, a steady pace. And I don't know how often I'm going to post these. You know, I have to watch 4 episodes every time I post one. I'm going to try to work through my way through this series. Hopefully I'll try to do 1 a night for a little while and see how that goes, and then maybe binge watch on a day off or something. But for now, we'll try to just keep a steady pace. Alright guys, peace out, see you next time, later.